Okay, these are the today's topic you might have seen from economy and editorial, the polity, international relations, and environment. So, from the economy, these are the two topics are most important, and some of the basic I will explain behind this news. Then, in the editorial, it talks about the Indian Railway, some reform they are proposing. Another one, why they are not increasing the GST rate for the harmful food items like tobacco and sugared beverages. This is another issue. Then the quality, uh, y- the content is not that much important based on the exam, uh, how these ruling and opposition parties are diverting the main issue, or how they are deviation from the core discussion in the parliament. This is what these two articles talks about. Then in the international relations, recently the Sri Lankan president visited India, and what are the key issues they have discussed, both our prime minister and Sri Lankan president. Then, what is the political crisis going on in France, and what are the impact because of that one at France? This one. Then, what similar crisis they going on? The political crisis happened in Bangladesh also. So these are the some of the issues from international relations. Then, from the environment side, uh, there is an article related to green hydrogen, and what are the challenges are there, what is green hydrogen, and why we have to go for this green hydrogen, how it is being produced. So these are the points we have to discuss now from the newspaper, today's newspaper. Let us come from one by one. This is the front page of the Hindu newspaper, so where it talks about the international relations between India and Sri Lanka. No much more points are there because it's a just a beginning step from the Sri Lankan president after the political crisis already took place in Sri Lanka a year back ago. Okay, so what are the main issues? These you just noted down because today onwards, similar news will be covered based on this international relations with our neighbor countries. How India is maintaining the foreign policy. So these are what they have discussed. The two leaders said they discussed the number of issues like regional security, digital infrastructure, connectivity, and energy products, as well as Tamil issues and rights of fishermen. Okay, these are all the daily issues that took place in the newspapers. Fishermen were caught by the Sri Lankan naval force. Okay, so these things. Then, government of India has given some grants. Grants means in terms of dollar. There are grants for the railway signaling system. Okay, this is another issue. Then one, they are developing one port, Kange Santuri port in Sri Lanka. Okay, around $20.66 million has been given as a project cost. Then these things are signed under letter of credit, or it's also called the loan sanctioned by India to the Sri Lanka. Then another one long-term issue has been signed with the Sri Lanka, that is multi-product pipeline. Okay, this already India has signed with the United Arab Emirates, and so for what purpose? Support LPG supplies, and another one project also completed from the Indian side, that is Sampur coal power project. So these are the terms you have to keep it in mind. That means the two for one port they have given a grant to develop, and another one is the coal power project, Sampur coal power project. Okay, now you can ask why government is developing port on other countries. Already we have spent enormous amount in the Chapakar port in the Afghanistan, the Iran connectivity. Okay, so whatever the development India is taking, India is doing in the other countries for the betterment of India's purpose also. Okay, so this is what China used to do, because to the last government when it was there in the Sri Lanka, and they developed the port in Sri Lanka. Okay, not in, there would be a huge return in terms of whatever the spending over there. Okay, so these are the current issues between these two countries. Okay, now tomorrow onwards or next consecutive days, we will get some of the article related to the economic impact or the significance of providing this much dollar or this much credit or loan to the neighboring countries. So what India is going to get benefit, and how it is going to benefit to the Sri Lankan side also. Okay, and one more point, it is clear, if we are friendly relation, maintaining friendly relation with these neighboring countries, then surely they have to accountable or responsible to India by not allowing the enemy countries, yes, like other major powerful regional countries to engage nearby India, which means, suppose if we are not taken care of Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal, then obviously another one person is always ready to taken care of them. Okay, with the mindset of opposing India or blocking India's development over that region. Obviously, directly the answer is China, we can say. Okay, so to avoid such kind of uh, not similar type of mentality, countries to be avoided in this regional side, because and this is what a major conflict, one of the reason for the Russia waging taking military war against the Ukraine. Okay, such kind of things should be avoided by providing these kind of some credit and development activities, because similar things we have done in the Bangladesh also, that we will see now. So this is the one issue. And second, this topic is again, it was in the first page of the newspaper. So here what happened, Nirmala and Karge, that Congress leader, face off in Rajya Sabha over the violation of constitutional norm. Actually, the discussion is about the glorious journey of 75 years of the Constitution of India. This is the topic to be discussed on the floor in the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha. But instead of discussing about the Constitution and its constructive measures in the entire 75 years, they have shifted or they have blamed each other, okay, by each other in a verbal manner. So this is what the article says. Okay, and for example, one more articles are there related to this one, continued page 8 and page 6, where they have mentioned one word, it is there, diatribe. Diatribe means thunderous verbal attack, verbally attacking on each others. So some even instead of speaking these two people, if they call on the common man, they will talk about the significance and importance and the fruit of the Constitution over the 75 years. But they have missed this opportunity to speak in favor of the Constitution. Simply, they were making verbal attack on each other. Even though some other points, it is there, the Constitution amendment brought to so these are all the baseless statement. The current government says that whatever the amendment done by the Congress, it is for the family dynasty. So these are all the baseless, okay, purpose of the political agenda or political point of view. They have described it on the floor, and the alteration of the preamble to include socialist and secular, okay, highlights the disrespect and disregard the Congress has constitutional process. So these things, but we as a civil servant, as a civil service aspirant, we have to analyze why our forefathers included this socialist principle, secular principle. Okay, So these words are not simply added by one person or one person's view. Surely these words should be added with a discussion and with NRMS support from other members of the parliament by that time. And why these words are not included at the time of the constitution was adopted. So these are some points we have to discuss in the polity class. Okay. And next one, this is the economic topics, the merchandise export fall. And this one, so only two lines are, but two issues we have to check. The topic says the merchandise export fall. Okay, which means also wherever export is decreasing, then there is a concept already we have discussed in the previous newspaper analysis, the term called trade deficit. Okay, trade deficit means the difference between the export and import. Okay, if export is less, and import is more, then it is a deficit, trade deficit. Patakore, we will say the Vyapara Patakore. In another case, if export is high, we are exporting more goods than the importing goods. Import is less. Then it is called trade surplus. That means the inflow of dollar is more in this case. That means in this case, dollar inflow or dollar move towards or dollar will come towards to our side. This is in this case trade surplus. In trade deficit, the foreign exchange reserve will it will reduce. Okay, it will keep on reduce if it is keep on continuing. Okay, that is trade deficit. So there are two reasons because there are two reasons in India always this trade deficit taken place because of the oil, importing oil and gold, oil and gold. So these are the 2 points that I mentioned. The gold import fueled the import spike as they hit the fresh peak of around $14.9 billion. Okay, then another India's import bills hit record high. Uh, this one, okay, the oil they did not mention, but so there are the fall in prices of petroleum product which have been affected India's oil export. Oil export it is affected because of the petroleum product affect this one. So major these two are the reason for the trade deficit always in case of India. Okay, so the three topic we are just one is about the international relation between India and Sri Lanka. Then the constitutional development discussion is going on in the both of the house, but it is not in the constructive way, simply blaming on each other. Then the trade deficit because of the import of gold and the oil. Okay, now this is the one of the editorial, the hidden cost of greenwashing Indian Railway. Actually, this article is somewhat not, I can't say it is not not important, but so this is totally new. Always the editorial will be based on the current issue, but this is somewhat new to the readers. So this one talks about government is trying to convert the locomotive, the train locomotive, and steam engines are there now, diesel engines. Okay, they are converting. The one project is going on one, and those and n number of locomotives are left as it is without any usage. Okay, with the reason of electrifying the entire railway network. These are the two major issues, and how the government has to deal with this is what the author says. Okay, you read little now because it totally it is new. It says, and here in the first paragraph, so what was the issue? The repurposing of 6 broad gauge diesel electric locomotives for export to some African railways. So one point. The first point is government plan to export in this area. The government plan to export to some to African railways. Now problem is there in African railway. There they were using the Cape Gauge of 1. No, 1067 millimeter against 1676 millimeter. So now we have to convert according to the African usage if we want to import. So it's a huge cost effect also there. That means we have to modify the locomotive one. Then that means in Africa we are not exporting the new one. It says second-handed diesel locomotives we are expecting. So one point of view we will get money. Another point of view, how much money we are getting in return after modification. So what are the financial investment is behind there? That is what need to analyze. This is what the authors view. Okay, so in another one, so in one word he said it is a homogeneous wasting of costly asset and prolific as unmatched in the annals of railways wherever in the world. Okay, it means that whatever government says or do modification and selling this to other countries, it's a huge cost effective there. This is what this paragraph talks about in the introduction. Okay, and this one, the what RTA says, the right to information through right to information, he got some of the fact, which means around there are 585 diesel locomotives stabled. Stabled means stored. Okay, around 585 diesel locomotives are stabled or simply kept into storage across Indian Railways network. Reason due to electrification. Okay, they are converting from the diesel engine to electrical engine. So for that purpose, around 500 or 600 diesel locomotives engines are left without any usage. This one. And due to electrification, around 60% of the locomotives had a residual life more than 15 years. This is another point. What the RTA says, around 60% of those locomotives, okay, which means around 400, we can say around 350 so around 350 diesel engines are still having the lifespan of around 15 years. So and today the figure is reported to about 60 locomotives. How? Okay, 760 locomotives are in that case. And again in the RTA says the electric locomotives in the good working order with years of service still left in because of the redundant. Some question he has raised. Why? Because of electrification, why these are all there? Which means even though it is has lifespan of 15 years, they can do the electrification in a certain line after completion of its usage. This is what he says. And the railway electrification is generally justified for two grounds in this line. One is we are having India is having a mission. What mission? Mission 100% electrification. Yes. So India is having the mission 100% electrification. One reason. Another one is to reduce the pollution. Pollution means we are targeting net zero carbon. Okay, net zero carbon emission. Because of these two reasons, they wanted to avoid or they wanted to reduce the diesel engines or diesel locomotives. These are the two main reasons. Okay, for our knowledge. So this is what these paragraphs say. So now conclude in the first paragraph why actually what government has done. They wanted to give some locomotives to the export to the African railways in the second hand after modification because their meter cage is different, our meter cage is different. That's one. Second, and the modifications, everything having huge cost, so no clear cutoff figure is available. One. So second paragraph, based on the RTA data, around 600 locomotives are left behind without any usage. even though they are having the lifespan of around 15 years. Okay, and the reason given by the government is because of two reasons. They are not using these diesel locomotives. One is to reduce the pollution, and as per the UN data, we have committed to net zero carbon emission. Another one is 100. We are having the mission 100% electrification because of these rules reasons. Then in this paragraph, the next column, this paragraph talks about the environmental friendly, green and clean mode of transport to the people, and potential to use the renewable energy, especially solar, by making use of the huge land parcel available along the railway track. This is one of the important points. Railway has too much land in near to track, so they can utilize all the open land for the renewable energy purpose. That means solar energy. From the solar, they can use for the electrification. This is another one valid point. And one more point after in this paragraph, it is a one more valid point. By using these locomotives, diesel locomotives, we have to spend more on the we dependent more on the fuel also. So that is reducing. That is 70% of the total diesel oil consumption in the country was in the transport sector. This is what. And truth about the environmental condition. This is somewhat the author is somewhat opposing the point. That means opposing the, because in Indian newspaper mostly they will take in the left side. Okay, whatever government says, they will take into the opposite side only. So, but we have to analyze. We have to balance both. Government says we have to reduce the net zero emission, and we have to reduce the oil consumption. That means the diesel. Okay, then we have to reduce the pollution. This is the government agenda. But this agenda has been taken in the negative way. How it has been taken by the author, he says that electricity is secondary source of energy except when generated by lightning. Leave it. It needs to be generated by expanding primary source of energy from the fossil fuels such as coal, oil, natural gas, nuclear energy, or the kinetic energy of water stored in the height. So hydroelectric project, that is through the solar or wind power. And well, what is in the situation in India? Nearly 50% of the electricity generated today in the country is through coal-fired thermal plants, and the Indian Railway plays a crucial role in the transporting coal from the pit. அதாவது என்ன சொல்ல வராருன்னா, you are talking about zero emission and pollution, but what is actually happening in India? 50% of the electricity produced from thermal power plant. So thermal power plant is from coal, and that coal is transported to the same railway. Okay, so instead of generating electricity from the pollution based production, you produce the electricity from the from the natural gas, nuclear energy, and kinetic energy of water. That means hydropower, wind power, solar power. This is what he is arguing. So point is okay. Okay, and see here, the replacing diesel locomotive with electric locomotive will only result electric locomotives powered by electricity, about 50% of which is generated by burning coal. Once again, he's repeating the same point. Okay, so he's just raising question. If you are talking about we will reduce the pollution free, already you are making the pollution by generating electricity with the use of coal, burning coal. That itself polluting the environment. Okay, so you first convert, or first you go to the first you convert or consume or produce electricity from the renewable energy. Then you speak about this thing. This is what his argument. In the next, the last column, what he says, the unless until about 80% of the total electricity generated in the country comes from non-fossil fuels, and the then only we can call it the green railway. This is another valid point. Okay, 80% of the electricity, if you are having capacity to produce through non-fossil fuels like solar, wind, tide, and hydel power plant. Okay, then you utilize these things into the electrification of the railway. And this article is not intended to reopen that. Okay, other now come to here, the disaster management and the strategy purpose, where the mission 100% electrification of the railway will also result in the dichotomy in the near term. The Indian Railways today has more than 4,000 diesel locomotives. See, so some of the contradictory he is highlighting. One side, around 600 locomotives are not in use. Another side, around 400 diesel locomotives are in operation. One side, your government says 100% electrification. If 100% electrification means how you are going to replace these 4,000 diesel locomotives? So somewhat contradictory data are there. So with the impending 100% electrification of the system, all of them will not become redundant overnight. According to the recent news reported in the reputed Financial Daily, official says 2,500 diesel locomotives are proposed to retained by the railways for disaster management and strategic purpose. Out of 4,000, around 2,000 locomotives are reserved for the disaster management and strategic purpose. And again, around 1,000 locomotives will continue in service for the past few years to meet traffic commitment. In other words, 100% electrified Green Railway will continue to use about 3,500 diesel. He is laughing over the government's action. One side, you are talking about 100% electrification. By saying 100% electrification, you are using 3,500 diesel. Okay, so this is what now. But suppose such kind of policy issue or reform in the railway asked in the mains exam, your answer should be in the balanced way. Okay, which means even though 4,000 locomotives are in operation, side the government is doing phase wise to reduce the locomotives, and the government is generating and taking lots of steps to produce electricity only for the electrification in the railway line, along with the solar project along with the railway open areas belong to railway lands. Okay, and some other steps also keep on going like that. You have to write your answer. You should not be against the government, and answer should not be no the direct hit over the fact. Okay, this is what in this article. Now next one, இதுல ஏதாவது டவுட் இருக்குதா? நானே பேசிட்டு இருந்த மாதிரி இருக்கு. இது நல்லா புரிஞ்சா?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the next one, this is a simple article. Levy a higher GST rate on tobacco and sugared beverage. And the topic itself very clear. It gives a clear view. You have to raise the GST rate. That means you raise the tax on tobacco and sugared beverages. So automatically, suppose if they are raising the GST rate on tobacco, what will happen? If they raise sugared beverages, if you are raising the tax, what will happen? People will consume less both the product. So there is one more concept we are come across continuously, that is NCD, non-communicable disease, like heart attack, diabetes, these things. Okay, and we know the health data of the country. Highest number of diabetes are there in India, and recent so many people are died by heart attack irrespective of age and health issues, lots of there. So some of the basic reasons behind these in non-communicable disease, this is what the entire article talks about. So it is not only for the exam, it's a general awareness to us also. So come across one by one. In the first paragraph, there is no significant increase in GST rate on harmful products such as tobacco and sugar sweetened beverages, except for 2 minor hikes in national calamity contingent duties. This is one new word, in new term it is there. What is national contingent duties? Noted down in separately. It is actually, this duty is levied on certain manufactured goods to finance the NDRF. You write the statement in notebook if you are having the note and pen with you. Okay, the purpose of NCCD is, it is that this is a kind of duty, that means tax. This tax or duties levied on or imposed on certain manufactured goods certain manufactured goods means which are harmful to the health. Goods. For what purpose they are imposing? To finance the NDRF, National Disaster Relief Fund. Okay, so whatever the amount is collected under this NCCD, that amount is used for, or amount is kept in National Disaster Relief Fund. Right? This is the one new term. One, on goods specified. Okay, what are the goods? Okay, these goods are specified in the 7th schedule of the Finance Act 2001. என்னென்ன ஆக்ட்னா பீடி, cigarette, chewing tobacco, குட்கா, pan masala. These are all. Okay, these are all the listed goods where this NCCD is imposed. And now what the peoples are suggesting, instead of 28%, you increase it to 30%. That's a welcome step. Okay, so however, further tax reform are essential to effectively tackle the public health and fiscal challenges associated with these products. Okay, this is second. And impact of proposed GST rate hike, which means suppose if you raise or increase the GST rate from 28% to around 38%, no, you can go for the 58% also, 50% also, no problem. Suppose if you are raising the GST rate in the higher level for these products, what will happen? So now India is the second largest consumer of tobacco globally, noted down. Then with 28.6% of adults above 15 years and 8.5% of students, again in between 13 to 15 years, using tobacco in some form. Tobacco is a leading risk factor for non-communicable disease, noted down, and causes over 3,500 daily deaths in India. Okay, in 2017 alone, the annual economic burden of tobacco use and the second-hand smoke was estimated around $2,340 billion in billion rupees, or the 4% of the GDP. Okay, and around 538 billion amount collected annually in tobacco tax revenue. Okay, by using 28%. And the proposed GST hike 35% is expected to reduce tobacco consumption and boost tax revenue. Okay, two point. One, if you are raising the GST rate from 28 to 35, the proposed one, they can increase to up to 50% also. So two things will happen. Tobacco the consumption will reduce, and the tax revenue will increase from these products. One. And some you can say, sir, tax, okay, consumption, if consuming is reducing, means production also reduce. So how you can say the tax will increase? So for short term it will increase, for long term automatically tax revenue also reduce. Our aim is not to collect more tax from these harmful products. Our aim is we have to reduce this harmful product, or eliminate this harmful product by used by the students and adult and other people. This is our aim is this one, not the tax revenues, the not only thing. And these are all some of the factual data they are given. Read it. Okay, and here the group of ministers recommendation to raise GST rate 30% is positive step, but falls short of 40% rate. Okay, and now come here. The World Health Organization, WHO, Convention on Tobacco Control, to which India is a signatory. That means we have signed that agreement. WHO recommended, what it gives recommend, all tobacco product to be taxed comparably to prevent substitution, okay, between them. That means we have to increase the tax compared to others. Then if you are increasing this one, then another one problem will face, the illicit trade, the black market. Okay, that will happen, that need to regulate it. Then instead of factors such as tax administration, quality, regulatory framework, and government commitment, government stance, social acceptance, information distribution, these are all the common word which can be used in the mains exam. Okay, and balancing GST and excise tax. Another key issues related to GST, a purely ad valorem tax. This is another one where ad valorem tax means tax according to value. Okay, that is called ad valorem. That means based on the value, the tax will be there, and are less effective than the specific excise tax to reduce the tobacco use. This one, and India should consider raising excise tax along with the GST so that the illegal importable reduce. Then up to this one talks about tobacco. Here under the point they are mentioning about the sugar sweetened beverages. Equally, you have to give importance along with the tobacco because the beverages is much major contributor to obesity, diabetes, and other non-communicable disease. Okay, so increasing the GST rate from 35% could discourage the consumption and align with India's broader public health goal. Okay, this is another point. Then key consideration for GST Council. That's the council, the GST Council. So they want to reform, recommendation given to reform the taxation of harmful product. Other the around 40% like that. This. So these are the common points only. Okay. Then next one. This is what the first page we talked. What there was a news regarding the opposition parties are blaming each other. This is what I said. Intense diatribe. Diatribe means thunderous verbal attack, shouting on each other like dogs on the street, instead of discussing constructive framework of the constitution. This one they missed out. But one point was highlighted from the both the side. They appraised or they agreed about the supremacy of the constitution. Okay, even one stupid politician says that Narendra Modi is the protector of the constitution. So these are the they do not know about the polity, and we know very well who is the guardian of the constitution. Yara தெரியுமா? Guardian of the constitution யாரு? பிரசிடென்டா, பிரைம் மினிஸ்டரா, சுப்ரீம் கோர்ட்டா?
Supreme Court, sir.
யாருமா?
Supreme Court, sir.
Supreme Court. But these stupids are talking about Narendra Modi is the protector of the constitution. This is what some useless discussion took place in the house. Okay, and the even Congress also they were in they are the people who in the beginning of the constitution long year back. At least they have to talk something in the constructive ways, even though the BJPs are blaming on the Congress side, but they also missed the opportunity of the golden period of constitution for the long 75 years. Both were simply talking about Article 356, then emergency, and including lots of changes, amendment of the constitution, so many things. Whatever the negative things took place from the both the side, they discussed. That is wrong. Okay, and this is what they can do little in terms of constructive engagement on the question. The constitution understood as a living document. இது தனியா எழுதி வச்சுக்கோ. Okay, note it down. The constitution understood as a living document provides the foundation and the framework for the fairest social, political, and economic order for the country. Okay, and another, these were also important. Constitutionalism is an evolving project, and any discussion on it must account for this dynamism. Up to this one, these are all is a good one, and history is a good teacher, but litigating the past endlessly is not a helpful learning technique. There have been many dark moments in the 75-year history of the constitution, including the imposition of emergency, but the brighter and the bigger picture is that it is still offers the strongest possible ethos for the secular, pluralist, and progressive nation. இது வரைக்கும் தனியா you noted down in one paper. Okay, this is what they have to discuss about these things, but they did not talk about this one. Simply they both blaming each other. So they are for strengthening the unity of the country, but simply dividing the country, shouting irresponsible statements thrown on each other. Those things are not required from the exam point of view. Okay, this is important. The constitution is a living document. It has a fundamental framework for the social and political and economic order of the country. And even though it has some dark side at the same time, but the bigger and brighter picture is that it offers the strongest possible ethos of in a secular, pluralist, and progressive nation. This is what important. Okay, noted down now. Then this one, the costly gambles. This is the situation in France. Okay, and some of the political unrest took place in France. The France president Emmanuel Macron he changed the leader, and because of that, what are the impact? This is what they. This is common for not only the France. Whenever or wherever a political unrest or unstable government is there, then it will lead to such kind of a common problem like fiscal deficit, okay, fiscal deficit and unemployment and domestic consumption and debt will increase. Then very difficult for passing the budget for the essential service. Okay, these are the common problem which will be faced by any country where the political instability took place. This is what I took this article. Rest of the internal matter, no need. Okay, internally the number games are there. Like number games, he missed the opportunity. This thing, that's no need. So this the another one, most important topic. This also you have to note it down. The wholesale food inflation eased in November. The topic, okay. So here you have to learn about the WPI and CPI, the wholesale product index and consumer product index, are inflation based on wholesale price and consumer price. Okay, this is what we have to discuss. The rest of things you leave it here. Particularly, this article talks about the vegetable inflation. Okay, onion inflation in that vegetable category. Then wholesale price inflation, why it is rose the food product. Then how then in manufacturing product may how what are the price changes took place. These are all there in this article. But before that, you must know what is wholesale food inflation, what is CPI inflation, based inflation, this one. So take it, you make two columns like WPI and CPI and note down some other point regarding this one. Okay, so WPI and CPI. So consumer price index and wholesale price index. So here you just note it down that it tracking or it following the price changes at the wholesale level. This is a price change at the wholesale level. At the wholesale level. At the retail level. Price change at the retail level. This is one point. Then this is focusing on goods traded between business. Good between business. Okay, so this one, the focusing on goods and services purchased by the consumer. Goods and services purchased by the consumer. இங்க வந்து only goods, goods and service both. Okay, then here inflation at the producer level. Inflation calculated at the producer level because wholesale price na. So producer level. Here inflation based on the consumer level. Okay, so here the the inflation does not the price rise does not changes in the service because service is not included here. Okay, but service is included here, that point already mentioned. Then here the more weightage is given to manufacturing goods. Okay, here more weightage is given to food items. Okay, one more important point, RBI has adopted consumer price index as its key measure of inflation. RBI has adopted CPI as a key measure for the inflation calculation. I'm repeating, RBI has adopted the consumer price index as its key measure of the inflation. So this CPI has the base year 2012. The base year means whatever the price rise or calculated, the price range changes when compared with 2012 price rise. Then because if you want to conclude whether the inflation increased or decreased, then we need some base price. So that base price is fixed in for the year of 2012. So here 2011-12, here 2011-12 manufacturing goods. Okay, then WPI யார் calculate பண்றா? So WPI is released by another point, released by the Office of the Economic Advisor. Okay, this is released by Office of the Economic Advisor. CPI is released by National Statistical Office, NSO in symbol word, NSO. Okay, CPI is released by National Statistical Office. WPI released by the Office of the Economic Advisor. So that is comes under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry because these are wholesale price manufacturing. So the WPS comes under the Ministry of Commerce and Industries, and CPI comes under the NSO comes under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Statistics and Program Implementation. Right. So idhula edha doubt irukka illala? So these are
Sir,
enama
எனக்கு WPI ல ஒரு டவுட் இருக்கு சார்.
சொல்லுமா.
இதுல செகண்ட் பாயிண்ட்ல வந்து கூட்ஸ் ட்ரேடட் பிட்வீன் பிசினஸ் அப்படின்னு மென்ஷன் பண்ணிருக்கோம் இல்லையா சார்? ஒரு செல்லர் கிட்ட இருந்து இன்னொரு பர்சன் கிட்ட போகும்போது அது பிசினஸா இருந்தாலும் யாரா இருந்தாலும் அவங்களும் கன்சியூமர் தானே சார்?
கன்சியூமரா அது ஹோல்சேல் கன்சியூமரா ரீட்டைல் கன்சியூமரா?
ஓகே, சோ எவ்வளவு குவாண்டிட்டி வாங்குறாங்கன்றதா இங்க ஒரு பெரிய ரோல் ப்ளே பண்ணுது இல்லையா சார்?
So இங்க வந்து business means the listed business entities. நம்ம பேசிட்டு இருக்கிறது unlisted, அதாவது தெரியாதவங்க. அது இப்ப நார்மலா ஒரு சரவணா ஸ்டோர் அந்த மாதிரி பெரிய கடையில நிறைய வாங்கிட்டு சின்ன கடையில கொண்டு வைப்பாங்கல்ல, அந்த பிசினஸ் இங்க வராது. அதனால பிசினஸ் சொல்ல மாட்டோம், அதுவும் ஹோல்சேல் தான். ஓகேயா?
அப்போ ஒரு பெரிய ஷாப்ல இருந்து இப்போ ஒரு சின்ன ஷாப் போகுதுனா கூட அது வந்து பிசினஸ் இதுல வராது, சிபிஐல தான் வரும்.
ஏன்னா அங்க அது லிஸ்ட் எப்படி அத வந்து அத பொறுத்தவரை அது வந்து ரீட்டைல் தானே. ஏன்னா குவாண்டிட்டி, ஏன்னா இது வந்து என்டையர்லி இட் இஸ் we can factory based products.
ஆமா சார்.
இதை எப்படி வேணா சொல்லிக்கலாம். இப்போ சரவணா ஸ்டோர்ஸ் இல்லனா சம் ரீட்டைல் ஷாப்ஸ் ஆர் தேர். ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் நம்ம இதை எடுத்துக்கோ, பிக் பாஸ்கெட் எடுத்துக்கோ. ஸோ பிக் பாஸ்கெட் வந்து ஹோல்சேல்ல ஃபேக்டரியில இருந்து கொண்டு வரோம், அது பிசினஸ் டு பிசினஸ். ஸோ அதே பிக் பாஸ்கெட்ல நான் ஒரு சின்ன தெருவில் ஒரு கடை வச்சிருக்கேன், அங்க வந்து நான் வந்து பிக் பாஸ்கெட்ல ஆர்டர் பண்ணி அங்க நான் குறைஞ்ச விலைக்கு விற்கிறேன். அது தட் மீன்ஸ் ஐ அம் தி கன்சியூமர், ஐ அம் தி கஸ்டமர் டு தி பிக் பாஸ்கெட், ஐ அம் நாட் எ பிசினஸ்மேன். கரெக்டா?
புரியுது சார்.
Okay.
எஸ்.
Where? Okay, we'll move to next one. This one already I said the Bangladesh election is going to held in 2020 and 26. In this article, in the topic also wrote some point what happened in Bangladesh. There is a political or constitutional crisis. When it happened in the 5th August 2024, the Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina resigned. She fled the country. Not out வெளியே ஓடிட்டாங்க. Okay, reason enna? Around 130 people were killed in the protest. So why the protest? The students were protested. Why students protested? A bill was proposed by the Sheikh Hasina government. What was that bill? That bill, the government job reservation is arranged not based on the merit, but based on the quotas. Once I am repeating, the bill which is proposed by the former Prime Minister was the government job having the reservation not for the merit, not for the mainly on merit, but based on the quotas. Quotas means what she in the bill says, those who are involved in the freedom of Bangladesh in the 1971 for their families, they can get this much quotas to enter into the government job. So immediately it was opposed by the other group of students. So students, the union, they demanded the job should be based on the merit, not based on the quotas. So if you are comparing India like country, you have to laugh because in India we are mainly the jobs for the quota based. Okay, OC quota, OC ke ulle இன்னொரு quota, economically weaker section, then BC குள்ள if you want to check the reservation list, you just open the group 1, group 2, group 4 job vacancy detail in the TNPSC, where you will see number of layers are there for the quotas. Okay, but there it is different. Okay, so that is why they protested against the government. Then she fled from the country, and she seized the parliament building. And now the Nobel laureate Mohammed Yunus, he had formed one team. That means interim government. He was the chief advisor of the interim government. He is taking some reforms, some steps to stabilize the current situation. This is the current situation. Now, what are the challenges to India? That we have to discuss. What are the challenges because of this Bangladesh? Because similar thing was raised in the parliament by the opposition parties. You have to discuss about Bangladesh. You have to discuss about Manipur, like that. Okay, so why they are raising the question about Bangladesh in the Indian parliament? Because of some reason. They raised the question in the current political party on one ground, that is there was an attack took place in the minority of Bangladesh. In Bangladesh, Muslims are majority, Hindus are minorities. So minorities were targeted. That means Hindus were targeted, and Hindu priests were arrested. Okay, so that is why the opposition parties are raising questions against the central government, that you have to do something to protect our people or our religions people in the other countries, like that. Okay, this one. So some of the other challenges to India, the border security, because Bangladesh having around 4,096.7 kilometers of border sharing is there. So border security is another challenge. Internal security is another one challenge. If you are not keeping your border at a high alert in this situation, there would be an infiltration, there would be illegal migrants, that will create a problem, like Rohingyas are there. Okay, third one, that is a minority question. That's what I said now. The assault on Hindu religion and Hindu peoples and Hindu priests. Okay, they are targeted. This one. And one of the most important things, the transboundary river water management. Because you won't believe, around 54 rivers there between the two nations sharing the water. Not one or two, 54 rivers are there. Okay, which means the tributaries of Brahmaputra Okay, so some of the important treaty already India has done with Bangladesh. Okay, that's one is Kushiara Water Treaty. Kushiara Water Treaty that done with 2022. Then Ganga Water Treaty that is in the year 1996. Then Teesta River Treaty in the 1983. Okay, so these are all the various treaty exist in between our two countries. So these are, so that is why it is most important in Bangladesh, the crisis. Okay, these are the major challenges if it is remain continuing. Okay, and okay, this one in simple, I will explain in simple words because time is running out. So green hydrogen. So green hydrogen means very simple. Hydrogen is produced from the electrolysis of water. H2O இருக்குல்ல, H2O வை electrolysis யூஸ் பண்ணி அதை ஹைட்ரஜன் கேஸாவும் ஆக்சிஜனாவும் கன்வெர்ட் பண்ற ப்ராசஸ். Okay, once again I'm repeating, is using electricity. Okay, using electricity, split H2O into hydrogen gas and oxygen, and hydrogen is powered by the electrolysis of water. The process is called. And how what electricity we are using? Renewable electricity. Okay, so it's a two division to this there. One is a green hydrogen, another gray hydrogen. Gray hydrogen is nothing but the hydrocarbons from the fossil fuels like crude oil, this one. Green hydrogen is through this process. Okay, yeah, electrolysis of water process, this one. So hydrogen is produced by electrolysis powered by solar power, about 25 times more expensive. It may challenges is more expensive one. Okay, and so how to encourage this green hydrogen? Rest of the points it has been mentioned. That anger plus means anger means you have to select a well established company for the investment, plus mention the benefit of faster payment to the supplier network while managing the overall debt responsibility, these things. Okay, that is called anger plus financial model, this one. And the impact of green hydrogen is very huge, because automatically we can say green energy, clean energy, and import of oil will reduce. Okay, so these things okay. And much more points. So India's success in green hydrogen will depend on leveraging its abundant renewable source through efficient project execution, and how to de-risk the, அதாவது எப்படி வந்து இந்த இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட்ல வந்து ரிஸ்க் இல்லாம எப்படி இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட் பண்ணணுங்கிறத. First, the government must implement a comprehensive policy framework. Okay, then in the India's financial sector must move beyond traditional project financial burden. அதுதான் they have to move this model. Third one, India's international collaboration must have beyond aspirational agreement to tackle practical market making challenge. Okay, these are the points. I think this is sufficient. So almost we covered all the topics. Yeah, where other doubt irukka? Anyway, today's topics are more some topics are more important exam point of view. ஏதாவது டவுட் இருக்காமா யாருக்காச்சும்?
சார்
சொல்லுமா.
ரெகுலர் கிளாसेस எப்ப சார் இருக்கும் இந்த நியூஸ் அனாலிசிஸ்?
கிளாஸ் வந்து ஜனவரி செகண்ட் வீக் ஆயிரும்டா.
ஓகே சார். இந்த லீவ்ல கஷ்டமா சார்?
ஆமா, ஏன்னா இப்ப எனக்கு கிறிஸ்மஸ் லீவ், நியூ இயர்னு ஒரு வாரம் போயிருமா?
ஆமா சார்.
ஓகே. ஸோ அதனால இந்த ஒரு 10 நாள் 15 நாளைக்கு ஐ வில் கிவ் சம் ஒர்க். என்சிஆர்டி கொஞ்சம் கவர் பண்ற மாதிரி பாத்துக்கலாம்.
ஓகே சார்.
ஓகேயா?
எஸ் சார்.
ஓகே. Shall we leave now? வேற யாருக்கும் டவுட் இல்லைன்னா we will leave. Tomorrow we will meet again. அண்ட் டிஎன்பிசிக்கு வந்து இந்த குரூப் 4 கிளாஸ் போயிட்டு இருக்குது. இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் உள்ளவங்க வந்து அட்டென்ட் பண்ணுங்க. மேக்ஸ் தான் எடுத்துட்டு இருக்கிறேன். Okay, bye then. Good night. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.